Welcome back, everybody, to our Midwestern Dynasty, where today we are going to be getting through an entire offseason. This last season, we went 9-5 with a 3-3 non-conference record and a 6-2 conference record, including an unfortunate conference championship game loss to one of our rivals in Kennesaw State. We did bounce back and win in our first ever bowl game appearance, winning the Bahamas Bowl over Appalachian State to hopefully give us some momentum heading into this offseason as we look to build upon a good year that we just put together and a solid first 2 years that we have put together, having gone 14-12 overall in these first 2 years of the Dynasty. We will have a new offensive coordinator because Avery Waller, our OC from the first 2 years of this series, he is going to be going to Utah to be their new OC. We hired Vinny Moore, and I don't really expect any drastic changes to the offense, but maybe some slight changes to our playbook. The DB room is a massive concern for us this offseason. We are losing 5 of the 11 defensive backs we had on our team last year and 4 of the 5 starters that we had in the DB room. While Shaquem Short has committed to us and I think he has a bright future, I don't think he's going to help us out much right away. He's only got 59 zone coverage. We run mostly zone, so he's just going to need some time to develop and work on his zone coverage. Pro potential is a deal breaker for Jordan Bryant, and we knew this. It has been looming and sitting there. We knew it was going to be something that comes up this offseason. Unfortunately, our grade for pro potential did not go up enough. It's only a C-. The Jordan Bryant, he wants to transfer away. We're going to try and persuade him to stay with a low chance, better than none, but not enough. So Jordan Bryant, a team captain and a big-time player for us who racked up 3,386 total yards and 21 total touchdowns in 2 seasons for us, is going to be going somewhere else for his last year of college eligibility. We are also going to be losing 3 other team captains, including Shad Green, who is our highest overall player and our best offensive lineman for the first 2 years of this series, DeMarcus Perkins, who had 16.5 sacks and 45 TFLs and was the best player on our defense, I would say, for most of the games that we played. If it wasn't him, it was probably Wyatt Van Horn, who had 227 tackles and 36 TFLs over the first 2 years of this dynasty. So in total, we're going to be losing our top running back, our top 3 overall wide receivers, full starting guards, our best edge rusher, our best off-ball linebacker, our top 2 cornerbacks, 2 starting safeties, 4 team captains. We are having 23 seniors graduate and 1 junior transfer away in Jordan Bryant. With us losing so many key players, you can see why this is a massive offseason for us. We are right now ranked 111th nationally when it comes to recruiting class rankings. Not good. We only have 6 commits. The good news is we have a lot of players that we are going after that I'm really confident we are going to end up getting because nobody else is going after them. There are some players that we are in battles over, like cornerback Emilio Alcantara, who's only a 2-star, but he fits our scheme, being a zone corner, and this cornerback class doesn't really have that many good zone corners. So we're going after him in hopes of getting him. We have the max amount of points put into him. UCLA, Oregon State, Sam Houston, they're also all going after him. We haven't used the transfer portal at all in this series, but we're going to start. Gabriel Bromell, a big-bodied wide receiver, went to Florida State his freshman season, has great ratings, and of course we're going to go after him. Why not go after a wide receiver that's as talented as he is and has interest in coming to Midwestern, even if it is kind of slim interest? Obana Kutu, an edge rusher, went to Tennessee his freshman year. He's got great power moves, strength, pursuit, acceleration, awareness, play record's all good, especially for a freshman. So we'll throw our hat in the ring for him and Bromell and see if we can get our first transfer in Midwestern history. We got a commitment out of Ahmad North, who we did have a visit with in the regular season. He could play linebacker, could play safety, has a really good combination of ratings to do both of those things, but I'm leaning towards putting him at linebacker due to his zone coverage not being amazing for a safety, but it would be really good for a linebacker. Gabriel Bromell, we are on top for him. Indiana also going after him. We now have the max amount of points on Bromell that we can, being 65. When it comes to Kutu, we can only put 50 on him. App State, Liberty, Temple, Kennesaw State, they are all going after him. We'll see if we can at least get one of those two guys. We have a commitment here from Mike Wolf, a defensive tackle out of Georgia, who is a gem. Only has impact as his development trait. Not amazing, but it's not bad. He's got good strength, block shedding, and play rec. The awareness, that needs to get better. Don't know what his pass rushing skills look like. At worst, he's good depth. Maybe he could be more than that for us, though. For Emilio Alcantara, we are looking really good in this race. Have pulled away a little bit from Sam Houston, Oregon State, and UCLA. We still have the most points into him that we can. We do get a commitment out of a cornerback. It is not Alcantara, but it's Juan Leverett, a 6'2 zone corner out of Alabama. You like the speed, excel, agility, play rec, and zone coverage. So the change of direction, that's not good, which means he's going to have to be an outside cornerback. That's fine. We just needed bodies in the cornerback room and DB room. Even with a commitment from him and Shaquem Short, we're only at 5 cornerbacks on the roster for next year at the moment. Hopefully we can get a couple of more in this final week of off-season recruiting. So we are ranked 94th. A lot of room to improve in this final week of off-season recruiting. We have a lot of players that I'm pretty confident we're going to end up getting. Here are some of the battles we are in. Emilio Alcantara, feeling really confident about that one. Also the one for Seth Hearns, the punter that Baylor is making a late push for. Alex Kane we should get. We have the max amount of points put into him. Ball State are trying to get him. There is a pair of guards in Gabriel Doxson and Cardarius Taggart, who are both from Illinois. Western Michigan, they want them both. We want them both. We'll see if we get both of them, none of them, one of them, who knows. Eshawn Dirth, a safety out of Tennessee. Ball State wants him. Probably not going to get him. And the transfer, Gabriel Bromell, we're on top by a lot over Indiana, heading into the final week. The one battle I'm not confident in is this one for Kutu. Liberty, Kennesaw State, they're both going after him pretty hard. We have the max amount of points put in him that we can. We'll see if it ends up being enough. And we'll see if we can improve our recruiting class ranking from 94th. Let's go ahead and advance. So we end up getting everybody to commit that was on our board except for Kutu, who's going to Liberty. So we will have a chance to play him, I'm assuming, at some point in this series. We have brought in a quarterback in Willie Scales, who might never be anything more than a career backup. He does have good short and medium accuracy, and I like the awareness. He's very likely, though, going to be held back by his lack of arm strength, his deep accuracy not being amazing, and his dev trait is only normal. But you never know, he could develop into something special for us. Cameron Hellestrey and Sammy Thrash are a couple of running backs that we have brought in. One's a power back, the other a elusive back. They're both going to be redshirted. Could see some time if we have injuries at the running back position, though. Gabriel Bromell, he's got great ratings, only impact as his development trait, but I fully expect him to be at worst our wide receiver 3 for this year. Devin Gentry has elite as his development trait. That's amazing. That's the best you could get here in college football 25. I don't know if he's going to play for us right away. He could if he's able to carve a rule out, but if he can't, then we're going to redshirt him and get an extra year of development for him. Xavier Speed and Lamar Wake are 2 gem wide receivers that are both undersized and listed as route runners, but need a lot of work when it comes to their route running and really everything. We're going to give them some time and redshirt them and see if maybe they could develop into something special. Sam Genus, he's a straight line runner with good speed and acceleration, but is probably not going to be anything more than just a deep threat, with his dev trait only being normal and his other stuff not being great. Paul Schuler has star as his development trait. He'll be tight end 2 at worst, could be tight end 1, and should be a great red zone target for us. Eric Rush, he is a bust with only normal development, but I'm going to redshirt him and see if maybe in a couple of years he could be a tight end 2 or tight end 3 for us. John Good, only impact as his development trait. That's a bit disappointing, but I do like his ratings. He was the first commit that we got in this recruiting cycle, and he could start for us right away. I guess it depends on what his overall looks like. Ross Busby, he's going to be redshirted for sure. He's a 2-star tackle, not great strength. Maybe he can develop for a couple of years and do something for us. The 2 guards that we were going after, in Gabriel Doxson and Cardarius Taggart, we got both of them. They are both from Illinois and have some similar ratings. They're both going to be redshirted and be some good depth for us, but probably not much more than that. Maybe they could develop, though. Now, the center that we brought in, he has a chance to be something special. Maybe not right away, it might take him a year or two, but he's 6'4", nearly 300 pounds, with 90 strength, 73 speed, and 89 impact blocking. If he just has a year or two to develop the rest of his skills, he's going to be really good. Paul Dahl has to get the block shedding and awareness better. Not terrible at everything else, pretty solid. We're going to redshirt him, along with Trey Milner, who has good block shedding, strength, and play rec right away, but I would rather get the extra year of development and extra year down the line of eligibility out of him than having him be our 5th defensive tackle. Bayasiasi, the athleticism is there, the pass rushing skills, not so much, also has to work on his awareness and play rec. Alex Kane, he's somebody that will not be redshirted. It's not because he's some sort of elite player right away, it's mostly because he can kind of fill 2 roles as a hybrid sort of player. He'll be the extra interior defensive lineman, the 5th one that we have on our team, and he'll also be the 5th edge rusher on our team. He can just do both and be that extra bench guy. John Hicks, he's going to be redshirted along with Paul Kraft, who has to work on his zone coverage, athleticism, but everything else is pretty good for a starting point. The defensive back room, it was a concern coming into this offseason, and it very well may still be. Emilio Alcantara has decent zone, but not really amazing. Sean Stacy, he's a 1-star prospect for a reason, not crazy athletic. He's got okay zone. He's going to probably be redshirted, along with DeMarco Cooney, who could eventually be a slot cornerback for us with his athleticism and his size, but the coverage is just not there. So a lot of the cornerbacks that we brought in need work. Mike Ezeki, he is going to play for us right away as a freshman, as a backup safety. We'll see how much. He's got good zone, and that is really a good thing to start with. Keyshawn Dirth, he will be redshirted. He needs to work on the man zone. The speed's kind of low, so a lot of things for him to improve, but at least he has impact as his development trait. Deontay Bland, I see a role for him right away as a starter with that 80 zone coverage. He could be a deep safety for us. Probably not wanting him to play too much up towards the line of scrimmage, though. George Nadi, he could play for us early. The speed's there. The zone, it's all right. And we did have a huge need at safety. I guess it depends on how the offseason training goes. The kicker that we got is Craig Pacer, who is going to be redshirted, as Steven Spears is still on the team and is going to play out his senior year as our starting kicker. Seth Hearns, 89 kick power, much better than Elliot Redmond, who was our punter last year. So fully expect Seth Hearns to be our starting punter right away as a true freshman. Over the first 2 years of this dynasty, we have brought in 66 new players. And that means the majority of our roster is made up of players that we have personally brought in. Our recruiting classes have ranked 37th in the nation last year, 45th this year, number 1 in the conference in the last 2 years, both. So recruiting, it's gone really well for us. Hopefully it continues. It gets even better. Jordan Bryant, he is going to be heading to Michigan. Not exactly a great spot for him. He's not going to get much playing time. He's going to be like their 4th-string running back, unfortunately. When it comes to position changes, there was one debate. Ahmad North. He's better initially as a safety, but I think he has more potential as a linebacker. So we're going to put him at linebacker for now, redshirt him, and see if he can develop into a good linebacker. If it's not working out, we could always move him to safety or use him in some sort of hybrid role. While advancing through the offseason, Reggie Hambrick has been leveling up a ton and earning a bunch of upgrades. Now, I did spend some of the points, but we're actually going to be saving a lot of them. And that has to do with the fact that you cannot respec your skill tree in College Football 25 for your coach. So we're going to hold on to those points for now, because we can't use them and then get them back and spend them elsewhere. If you guys have any ideas on what I should do with these points, let me know down below in the comments section. But for now, I'm going to hold on to them until I exactly figure out where I want to use them. This is a massive offseason, not just because we had to bring in a lot of new players and good players, but also because we needed to see the players already on our team develop into better players. And I think they have by a lot, to be honest. The quarterback position has not really changed that much, unfortunately. Forrest Fry, pretty similar to what he was last year, but maybe he's a little bit better. His off-platform is up to silver. The running back position is really interesting. The most experienced running back we have on the team is Avery Sizer. He had 10 touchdowns last year as a true freshman. and he got a lot better. I think he is going to have a big role again. Why wouldn't he? But there's also Darrell Laff, who was a 65 overall player when we brought him in. He had a lot of big splash plays early when he was on the field. He's now up to an 80 overall. We're going to be playing him quite a bit. It'll be him and Sizer as the main two running backs. There's also Willie Wise, who should have some sort of role. He's one of the very few seniors we have on the team and is up to an 80 overall. The wide receiver position has never been a strength for us. I don't think it's necessarily a strength now, but it's not a weakness anymore, I would say. Nick Shields, we know he's going to be wide receiver 1. George Barr, he's maxed out at 77 overall. There's Gabriel Bromell, who's a 75 as a redshirt freshman. Barr and Bromell are going to be probably rotating as the wide receiver 2 and 3, with Nick Shields being wide receiver 1. Devin Gentry, as a true freshman, has an elite development trait. He's only a 65 overall, and his skill caps are good. If we're able to find a role for him right away, I don't want to redshirt him. I'd like to be able to have him on the field early in his career. Joey Hammer, he has surprisingly maxed out already at a 75 overall and gone from the worst run blocking tight end on the team to the best. So he's going to be tight end 1 still. Paul Schuler, slightly disappointing that he's only a 67 overall. He is going to be tight end 2, a really big red zone threat for us as a 6'6 tight end, but I was hoping for a little more from him initially. The main focus of the first recruiting class was the offensive line. I wanted to make that the strength of this team, and we are now seeing the players that we brought in that first recruiting class developing quite a bit, especially the players on the offensive line. I don't think it's the strength of the team yet, but eventually it probably will be. We have quite a few players that we have brought in that are pretty good. Brian Ramirez was a 63 overall when we began this dynasty. He is now the highest overall on the entire team, up to an 85 overall. Just incredible. Addison Bynum almost went to Notre Dame and somehow ended up on our team. We redshirted him. He went up 14 overall and is going to be our starter as a 79 overall left guard. Still some room to improve, clearly, when it comes to run blocking, but we'll give him a chance to start at left guard for us. The interior defensive line didn't really change at all, so not much to comment on there. Jimmy French, Kevin Campanaro, and Eric Lamb are going to be the 3 main edge rushers that we utilize this year. We do, of course, have to replace the production that is now gone with the graduation of DeMarcus Perkins. Eric Lamb, I'm hoping that he can have a huge leap here on the field. Didn't really do a ton last year as a true freshman, but he's now a pretty high overall. I have high expectations for him. We have been running a 4-2-5 defense, and I'm not going to just be abandoning it, but I do want to run some 4-3 in order to help us out against the run. It'll get an extra linebacker out there, but also just getting the extra linebacker on the field because we got some good ones. Thomas Mintz, he's an 82 overall with 80 zone, 77 man, 85 speed, and 67 block shedding. He could be a star in my opinion. Taylor Sanzenbacher was good when he was on the field as a freshman. He's now up to an 82 overall with 83 zone, 65 man, 85 speed, and 70 block shedding. Those two together, it's going to be pretty tough for defenses to throw against them with where their coverage ratings are at, and they're both not bad against the run. The cornerback room, it was a concern coming into the offseason. Unfortunately, it's still a concern going into this season. Juan Leverett, he'll be battling for cornerback 3/4 reps against Lamar Taylor, who is a senior. Emilio Alcantara is going to be cornerback 5. We had to have somebody be cornerback 5, and he's got decent zone, and I guess could step onto the field in a pinch if we are desperate. Now, the safety positions are surprisingly not that bad. I was, thinking here going into the offseason, it would not look very good once we got through the offseason, but I think we'll be all right here. Josh Wood, he is the most experienced player we have on the entire defense. I know, he's only a sophomore, but he's the vet of the defense. Hoping for big things out of him in year number 2 as a starter for us. Mike Ezeki, he is going to be a backup for us right away as a true freshman. Gabe Newcomb is also going to be a backup. He got a decent offseason training boost. George Scales, the surprise of the entire offseason, a 1-star player we brought in the last recruiting cycle, went from a 53 to to a 74. He went up 21 overall points and is going to be a starter for us. I just did not see that coming at all. I don't think I've ever seen that big of a training boost. I haven't gone through that many off seasons, but that is pretty crazy to me, going up 21 points as a 1-star. Deontay Bland, by the way, will be a starter for us, and that leaves George Noddy getting redshirted at safety. Seth Hearns, he's going to be the punter for us, has the big leg, 89 kick power. Can't really get that much better, but he's got a way stronger leg than Elliot Redmond. When it comes to encouraging transfers, we don't have to do it. We are 3 under the roster limit, which is great. I did at least want to show off some of the highlights from when I was practicing and getting to look at some of our new players, while also seeing what the old players we had on our team were looking like after some development. Forrest Fry is still our guy. He's going to be our starting quarterback once again. His accuracy seemed pretty similar to what it was, which is fine. He was pretty good last year. One of the new players that impressed is Gabriel Romel, who looked like an absolute tank out there. He is going to be tough to bring down. These cornerbacks and safeties just struggled tackling him, and even linebackers at times. He was able to just throw him off and put on some moves and score. So I have very high expectations for him after having seen him in practice. And even the ability to just kind of slow up a little bit, let his blocks develop on a screen and a takeoff, and score on plays like that. At running back, Darrell Laff was somebody that impressed. He just had too much speed. He could just make a bad angle happen just by blowing by guys like he did there against Edmonds. But also, his juke was great. He didn't really lose that much speed on it and was able to just keep his momentum going. So hopeful that he has a big year along with Avery Sizer at running back. On the defensive line, Jimmy French had to be the standout here. He hit hard and was able to get around pretty much who was ever in front of him. At linebacker, Thomas Mintz. This guy's going to be really good. He has so much speed out there and is able to even keep up with wide receivers. I know George Barr is not a burner at wide receiver, but the way that Mintz was able to just stick with him and make plays on the ball. Juan Leverett, I guess, is going to be cornerback 3. It'll be really him and Lamar Taylor are going to be shifting back and forth, but Leverett is probably going to get a little bit more playing time. He looked a little more opportunistic out there than Lamar Taylor. At safety, George Skills is the standout here. This dude had such good awareness of play rec. He was able to diagnose where the play was going and make a play on it. So glad to see that. We look pretty good in practice. I'm excited to get into the season. We are redshirting 25 of the 34 players that we just brought in. So yeah, a lot of players that we just brought in are going to be redshirted. It's probably for the best though. If we're able to get a leap like we did out of George Scales, who knows what we get out of these guys? They could shoot up as well, up 21 points. You never know. Preseason recruiting. I'm not going to talk a ton about it now, but I do want to mention we had some interest from a couple of 4-star prospects. And we are going to at least throw our hat in the ring with them and see if that interest is legit or if these other bigger schools are going to go after them. We don't know yet. We'll talk more about it once we get into the actual season and have a better idea of what's happening with them. The schedule. I was actually able to change the non-conference games. We're going to take on UMass, who we lost to in heartbreaking fashion to end year number 1 of this dynasty, a chance at revenge against them. We also had a good game against Northwestern. They're on the schedule this year. We'll take on both of our rivals at home later in the year. And the 2 really tough non-conference games are against Ole Miss and Nebraska, both on the road. So our schedule should be tougher this season. It should hopefully be some fun. I'm hopeful that we can build upon the year we just had. If you guys are enjoying this series, let me know down below in the comments section. Like this video to help this series out. Subscribe to the channel if you've not already. Thanks for watching this one, and I will see you in the next one.